Welcome back to the Q&A podcast here on Think Critical Patreon and channel memberships, where Doc and I get together and answer all the questions from the beautiful backers. How you doing, buddy?
I am spectacular, man. I am spectacular. How are you doing today?
We're doing all right. I'm flying out in less than 12 hours. So I've got to get this done. I got a little editing to do. But for the most part, I'm mostly ready. So I'm getting pretty excited. The boys are ecstatic. They want to get out of this house and they want to go see some movies. They want to see some animals. They want to see a shark, especially. So we're going to try and make all that stuff happen. And yeah, things are going well, my friend.
All right. I'm really happy for you. Hope that it's a good day, and hopefully you have a safe trip and kids get all the excitement that they really wanted.
Yeah, hopefully we can lock all that stuff down. Did you finally get to go see the Project Hail Mary with the girlfriend?
I did not. Unfortunately.
Oh wait, you weren't seeing it with her. You were seeing it with her son.
No, I was seeing it with her oldest, and we did not get time to do it. We thought we were going to have time, but then we're prepping to do all the Easter stuff here. So
you're hosting.
Yes. So had a lot of stuff that ended up needing done, and then I had to cut the grass. Yeah, I got to cut the grass though already for the first time this year.
Very nice. Well, thank you for making time with us. I didn't realize you were doing the full Easter hosting dinner thing. So you probably got some stuff to do.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of stuff to do later, but you know what? We got most of it done yesterday. So today is just, mostly throw everything in the oven and on the stove and run a vacuum.
Yeah, definitely hope everyone is having a fantastic Easter weekend and enjoys their Easter Sunday with their family.
Absolutely.
So let's get to these questions. First up, we've got Tyler Golozinski, aka Darker Up. I can't believe they finally killed Paul. I honestly thought he'd stick around longer, at least long enough to turn heel like his father before going out.
I didn't. I thought that they'd keep him around just to spite us.
That's what I was expecting. I was like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere because he is the editor's self-insert. And so there is 0% chance with the current regime that they're actually going to go, hey, every fucking person on the planet hates this guy. Let's get rid of him. With the current leadership at Marvel, it's, hey, every single person on the planet hates this guy. Let's give him his own series and make him Spider-Man too.
So do you think this is Marvel leadership maybe maturing a little bit and understanding that you do have to listen to your fans and maybe make a few choices that you didn't want to here and there to basically give them what they want?
No, I don't. At the end of this, I'm still waiting for the rug pull. Yes.
You think he's coming back by the end of Death Spiral?
I do.
No, come on.
I think he does. And not only that, but I think he becomes he might actually even become Venom by the end of this. Or Carnage. I can see him maybe becoming Carnage.
The last time they did a major death within Marvel Comics, it was Kamala Khan, and she was resurrected within weeks with new powers and an expanded, I guess, import within Marvel Comics, because now she was an X-Men. So perhaps they are looking at this to be an opportunity to actually elevate Paul rather than give fans what they want.
Well, remember, they also did it to Captain America, where he, in that Axis or the Axe Judgment spray, where he suddenly got to pop out of one of the Krakoan eggs, and apparently he's also born with his shield. Remember that? That was really fucking dumb too.
But all the deaths
that was in the same
Judgment Day were undone by the end because the entity that caused them undid it. I don't think Torment's like a cosmic, like God level being.
No, I don't think so either. But I don't know how they're going to do it, but they will.
That's your expectation.
I'm 100% certain. And they might even just make 3 Pauls, and all of them, one of them is Venom, one of them is Carnage, one of them is Spider-Man. And
did you think that turning Paul heel or making him a bad guy, a thorn in the side for Peter as a villain rather than just as like another love interest of MJ was something that was in the cards? Because it never felt like I was expecting that. Although I think it might have worked for the character.
It would have worked for the character, yes. But they weren't going to do that. I don't think so. Because they want him to be the romantic rival or the guy that MJ's with that's not Peter, the guy that's cucking Peter. And they also want us to be fine with him, so turning him villain, no, that wouldn't have worked.
Next up, Tyler says, this might be more of a Marvel problem than DC, but what are your thoughts on how DC handled Batwoman? They had the opportunity to build a strong, positive relationship with her and her partner, but instead went with the no relationships for anyone approach. Now we get Pride Month issues, and they still struggle with sales. Batwoman worked best when she was more than just who she was with.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't necessarily think it was the Batwoman conundrum that fucked it up for everybody. Yes, it definitely did fuck it up for everybody, but I think at the same time they used that as an excuse because of a bunch of perpetually single, undateable and unfuckable people that live that work at these major publishers. And I am talking about you know, female editorial at both of these companies. They want to, it's themselves. It's their power fantasying for themselves.
No, because she was supposed to get married, and
I know
Bob Harris put the kibosh on it, right?
Yeah, he did. She was supposed to get married, and the pushback from it was, oh, you're only not marrying her because she's gay.
Yeah.
And so they went with the okay, fine, then nobody's getting married, nobody's having relationships, nobody's exclusive, and with the possibility of dating. Or with the possibility
true. Superman's been with Lois for years upon years. We've seen
they weren't gonna.
We've seen Tim Drake with Spoiler for a very long time. There's been plenty of relationships, even new relationships in DC Comics.
Yeah, but none of them are going to end in marriage. The Peter, or I'm sorry, the Clark.
You said
Lois
you don't want anyone married.
No, I don't want them having kids. There's a difference. I'm fine with people being married. I don't want them having children, because whenever they have children, the book stops being about them and starts being about their kids or them being a parent. Kind of the same way that whenever a human has children, their life stops being about themselves and starts being about their kids.
Yeah, but that's like the natural byproduct of marriage.
I understand that. I understand that is, but it's not mandatory. It is common that the next step after marriage is children. I mean, hence the whole, Married with Children TV show, and all of human history. But just because it is the next step doesn't mean you have to get there within the panels of the comics.
Yeah, but I don't think because they didn't let Batwoman marry her girlfriend that there are just no relationships at DC anymore. I'm not funny relationships. I think the real problem with Batwoman, to be completely honest, is there's an inherently low ceiling for the character. First off, she's a variant of Batman. Second of all, she's a variant of Batgirl. Like, you're talking about a third level variant cover or variant character there, and there's really only so much that you can do with the character. yes, you can have a run that's, lauded and people remember like what Greg Rucka did with the character years ago, but you're never going to have like sustained success with a variant of a variant.
Well, yes, that is correct. You're not going to have sustained success, but at the same time, people really were invested in the character. They were, I always thought that she was just she was a PR stunt, masquerading as a character, because that's how she was introduced, as just part of a PR stunt. So
I don't the gobbledygooker of fucking DC Comics.
Yeah, she literally just they teased the crap out of a new Bat character, and then it was just Batwoman that looked like she just looked goofy with her fucking hair coming out of the mask and like the weird red logo. But yes, so she was nothing but a marketing gimmick, but people ended up really liking her. The problem was they put the kibosh on her getting married, and the question wasn't about no relationships, it was no marriages for anybody. That was what the reader or the listener was talking about, and I think that's been the case.
No, we just had the Thing get married, didn't he?
Not at DC.
Well, yeah, he says it might be more of a Marvel problem.
It is. Yes, but it is that it became a DC problem.
Because Batman was supposed to get married, and then they lied to us.
They pulled there has not been a marriage at DC since they put the kibosh on the Batwoman marriage. There's not been a new marriage. There hasn't. So yeah, nobody got, because they wouldn't let the gay lady get married. They had to go with the nobody gets married at DC philosophy. Now, the only thing that they've done since was bringing the original Superman and Lois back. That has happened since. But that wasn't new characters that wasn't a new marriage. It was just literally an existing married couple that wasn't in the comics coming back into the comics. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Batwoman, whatever. The fact that she's a Batman related character does help. Like there's a higher ceiling than like a variant of like Iron Man. But still, you're very, very limited on where you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Next from Tyler, more of a what if question. I know you love what if, Doc. Transformers the movie. When Megatron becomes Galvatron through Unicron and immediately destroys Starscream, do you think that power was tied directly to Unicron? Once Unicron was destroyed, was Galvatron effectively depowered? Would have been a much bigger threat if that connection remained.
I think he was. I think he was effectively depowered. That's why he returned back to Megatron.
He didn't return back to Megatron. He's Galvatron in season 3.
He was?
Yes. And he goes crazy because of the connection to Unicron, if I remember correctly.
Oh, God, it's been so long since I watched.
It has been a long time. And I don't like Transformers the movie like I like G.I. Joe the movie. So I remember watching it and being like pretty much devastated by the end. And the whole Megatron to Galvatron stuff didn't stick with me like the Optimus Prime stuff did.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like horrifying.
Well, yeah, it was horrifying to everybody. But no, I do think that his power, he stayed Galvatron, and there was still the connection, even though Unicron was dead. I don't know if his power set was necessarily still at the same level.
This is the way I understand it, and I could be incorrect. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie, and it's been quite a while since I revisited the Transformers cartoon. But I believe that Unicron gave Megatron an upgrade, creating him to Galvatron, and he's way powered up. And he remains that powered up into season 3 of Transformers. What I think changes when Unicron gets destroyed, he like loses his direction. There was definitely a connection, some type of tether there, but it wasn't like a power tether. It was more like he was able to focus and like knew exactly what he needed to do. And when that was gone, he kind of goes nuts, if I remember correctly, and like goes literally insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember that part, but the way I always kind of remember seeing it is, yes, I feel like I couldn't remember that he kept the name Galvatron, but it felt like he was getting weaker throughout that season. Like
He definitely is changing. Like it's noticeable.
Yes. And I think he's reverting back to Galvatron or back to Megatron level power, because basically he got like a really big battery upgrade. But the problem is there's nothing that can charge it that much except for Unicron. So once Unicron dies, he's still got that power, but
he's got the capability, but he ain't got the juice. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, he can't get a recharge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if he starts out at like a 1000% capacity after Galvatron or after Unicron turns him into Galvatron, he's kind of basically burning off that battery bank for the rest of that season until he kind of becomes Megatron again.
I think Transformers the movie was a bad idea.
Well, yeah.
Well, how about this? I don't know that the movie was a bad idea. I think what they did in the movie was a bad idea.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree at all on that.
I'm surprised that Kirkman's kind of running the same thing with, well, Optimus isn't dead, but the matrix of leadership has been handed over to Alita, and he's no longer the leader. Now we have a new Prime. And it literally turned off an enormous part of the audience, when the movie came out. And Transformer viewership numbers were never the same after that, I believe. Even when they brought Optimus back.
Yeah. Now, I say that as somebody that likes Rodimus Prime.
Oh, that's the gayest thing you've ever said. Why would you say that?
I liked Rodimus Prime.
Hot Rod was a cool character.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's where he needed to stay Hot Rod.
Yeah, but I mean, he's fucking Judd Nelson. What do you think?
Yeah, but he didn't need to become Rodimus Prime. I think it was a net negative for everybody.
I mean, look, I didn't like the fact that they basically ran the exact same play in G.I. Joe the movie and Transformers the movie with killing the main character.
They didn't kill Duke.
I know they actually were supposed to. And that's why and that's why at the end of the movie, that's why he's not in any of the movie after he gets the thing that the snake spear thrown through his chest. And then like they added in that scene with him at the hospital bandaged up afterwards because he was dead in the
I think Don Johnson's character was probably supposed to replace it.
He was Falcon.
Yeah. It's too bad that like Falcon was a complete like horn dog, like sexual harasser throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. We got a What If Transformers the movie. Wasn't expecting that one, dude.
All right.
Next up, we've got Brandon, aka the Midnight Venom. Hello, Wes and Dok. Well, hello, Brandon.
Yo.
Word is Secret Wars has all 3 of the Spider-Men returning. If so, that's pulling out all the tricks yet again. Will it have the same impact?
No.
I don't think it can.
No. I don't think it can because there's already like 50 other, callbacks to previous franchises. I don't think.
No, I mean, what I mean by what I said is I don't think that you can get the magic of getting all 3 Spider-Men together from the previous 2 universes, obviously into the MCU. you can't recreate that because you can only do that once. If you go back to it, you're basically just seeing something that you've already witnessed, which was amazing, but it can never feel like that again.
Yeah, you can't catch lightning in a bottle twice, and
not that it can't be a draw, but it can't be that big of a draw like it was.
Exactly. And look, and as well as doing it in the midst of doing like 50 other instances of that. I mean, it's the reason why it did work for
No Way Home.
Like dead. Well, no, it worked for No Way Home, but it also worked for Deadpool and Wolverine with having the blade and the but you've already seen that as well. You even saw it in when they did it in Multiverse of Madness and having Xavier and the fan cast Reed Richards in there. But you've blown that was
pretty
load.
Huge, dude.
No, it was just the one from the TV show that failed. But like my point is that you did that, and now you've seeing those characters together once is all you're ever going to get a pop out of. You're never going to get that pop again. You blew your wad on that one. Sorry.
Yeah. But I expect that we will be seeing all three Spider-Man in Secret Wars. I believe that for 100%.
Probably, maybe. I know it's not going to be in, one more brand new day
Doomsday.
Or one more day. No, the Spider-Man movie. I know it's not going to be there. They're going to do it in.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing the cameo gimmick. Well, I mean, they are doing the cameo gimmick stuff because we are getting Punisher and Hulk and stuff within the Spider-Man movie. But the majority of those cameos where you're going to see alternate stuff is all going to be in the Avengers movies.
Yeah, you're not going to see multiverse crossovers in new Spider-Man. You're going to see it in Doomsday and Secret Wars.
You excited for Doomsday leading right into Secret Wars Battle World?
Sort of. I mean,
it's the Hickman version. It's not going to be the Shooter version.
I know, and I don't like the Hickman version.
The Hickman version was pretty hot for like half of it.
Yeah.
Until they kind of pushed out at the end.
Yeah. Well, they definitely pushed out at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know, does it still work the same without the Molecule Man? And I don't know.
I think we can make it work without the Molecule Man, but he might be there. You never know.
Yeah.
But we are getting incursions for 100% during Doomsday. That's going to be the impetus. So they're definitely following the Hickman blueprint to get to Secret Wars.
Of course. And they'll introduce the Superflow.
Rumor is Andrew Garfield will have the symbiote suit in Avengers Doomsday. If this does happen, wouldn't you bring out this costume in Doomsday versus Secret Wars? It wouldn't make sense for him to have the symbiote black suit in Doomsday because they haven't made it to Secret Wars yet.
Yeah, but also, what difference does it make? None of them are the version of Secret Wars that introduced the black suit.
That is true, but I'm definitely not expecting Andrew Garfield in Doomsday.
I'm not expecting him either. I'm expecting him in Secret Wars.
Yeah. Maybe Brandon got that one mixed up. But either way, I definitely do expect the symbiote suit Spider-Man.
I expect that they're going to introduce a symbiote suit or just symbiotes. But they're not going to just be, they're not going to just tell us that it is.
Technically already done that when we saw like a bit of Tom Hardy goo end up in the MCU at one point?
Yes.
Like
so they've already introduced it at that tiki bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of One More Day or No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
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 Did you like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man? I liked him as
I liked
Spider-Man,
him
but I thought he sucked as Peter because he was too cool.
Yes, exactly. That
Whereas
was my
I thought
thoughts.
Toby was a great Peter because he was a complete nerd, but not as good as Spider-Man because he wasn't quippy. He was more mopey.
Yeah. And even when he did try to be quippy, he wasn't even annoying like quippy. He was just like, he'd say like 3 quips throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I do think that in a certain way, it does make Tom Holland kind of, he's the best one to do both, like where he actually can feel like Peter and like Spider-Man. Neither Andrew and Toby always felt great as one of them, but terrible as the other. Tom Holland is able to pull off both, but he's not as good at their respective good things as Andrew or Toby.
Yeah, like when he webs Gwen right on the ass and spins her around. That's some good Spider-Man right there.
Yeah. But yeah, Andrew Garfield was way too cool as Peter Parker and like way too chill. Like the way he, like they did the Flash thing and Flash being kind of a bully and like him just kind of coming out of nowhere and like calling Flash out and like winning that interaction. Peter never would have done that and never would have been able to do that in high school.
Yeah.
He would have fumble fucked all over everything. And then, gotten laughed at.
Speaking of the Andrew Garfield stuff, they introduced a ton of like flashback, like cutscenes about Peter Parker's parents and paid nothing off. Would you ever want to see that stuff paid off?
Oh, yes and no. I mean, they did kind of pay off a little bit of it in the second movie with like their connection to Oscorp. But it wasn't, I don't really want to see it paid off because I don't like the stuff that they were teasing.
That they were like
think that they
spies
should
and
have
shit?
been. Yeah. Well, I would have been fine with them being spies and going back to like the late 300s Spider-Man, whenever we find out that they actually worked for Shield and they were killed on a Shield mission. All that stuff is fine, but like corporate espionage, I didn't want that, and that was where they were going with the Ben and Richard and Mary stuff.
Yeah.
That they were into corporate espionage. I don't care about that.
Do you think that version of Electro is the worst adaptation of a villain like since Galactus?
Yeah, I think 100% that was an abysmal interpretation of Electro. It ruined the Electro character in the comics. As a result, because now he's just, I don't know, Jim Sparks. He got Jenny Sparks' power set after that movie.
They couldn't even give him the right color scheme. At least electricity could have been green and yellow instead of blue.
Blue. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was weird.
Yeah. They gave him a terrible color scheme. They didn't let him look at all like I feel like they kind of, you know what, where the inspiration from that was? It was from fucking Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Is how they did.
They took it literally.
Electro. Yeah. Like they literally did the exact same origin as Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman for Jamie Foxx's Electro. That's fucking stupid. That was because Michelle Pfeiffer's origin as Catwoman is the worst part of Batman Returns.
Yeah, but I think because of what Tim Burton did with Penguin is the reason that we got Penguin humping actual penguins in Tom King's run.
Yes. We can blame Tim Burton for a lot of things.
The Tom King penguin humping real penguins is really strange.
Well, yeah, because he was raised by penguins, so therefore he would want to fuck penguins.
But he's not
to
the penguin
Tom
because he was
King.
raised by penguins. He's the penguin because he wears a penguin suit. He wears the tux.
Yeah, he wears a tux and he's got the big nose and
like
the
a beak.
terrible proportions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a penguin when he's wearing a tux. It's a gag. But Tim Burton made it literal.
Just like Catwoman.
And as
She's
a result,
supposed to be a cat burglar. She's not supposed to be a cat.
Yes, exactly. And they did it for Michelle Pfeiffer's. And then whenever they did the Halle Berry Catwoman movie, which, God, that's abysmal. They went with the exact same fucking origin.
That's probably we got that stupid Tini Howard book where Catwoman gets 9 lives literally.
Yes.
And just keeps dying and coming back because she's a cat.
That's not 100% where we got that from. But so I guess my point is they used that exact same origin to do Electro, and we ended up with the worst iteration of any villain. And you know what?
Is it worse than Galactus though? Galactus is a cloud. That was awful.
Yes, it is, because they could still make an argument that Galactus was actually behind the cloud, and it was like
in the center of mass.
He's so large that he drags like he has.
He would have that much gravitational pull that maybe he would start pulling in
cosmic dust
in other particles and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So in that way, they could have backed out of that. You can't back out of
like if they would have done eels.
Yeah, fell in electric eels and went from being fucking Screech to Zach Morris. Except for now with electric powers.
Yeah. Next up, Spider-Man Brand New Day rumor is Peter will become main Spider. What do you think of this? I believe it. I'm starting to believe it. How's that?
I think they're going to do the other, which was the so it was during JMS's run. It was where they wanted to again synergize with the Raimi Spider-Man movies. So they had them go through a like kind of chrysalis in a cocoon, and he came out and he had organic web shooters afterwards. I think we're going to get organic web shooters on Tom Holland.
That makes less sense than my idea.
I know, but I think that that's what they're going to do. There was already indications from that trailer that he has organic web shooters at a certain point in this movie.
I prefer the non-organic web shooters.
I do too. I'm 110%. I want him to have to make it with technology.
Here's my thing though. When you look at the story of what we've been told it's going to be about, it's Peter like turning his back on his humanity and just being Spider-Man almost 24/7.
Yeah.
And the further he moves away from being, Peter Parker and only being Spider-Man, a transformation into being Man Spider and realizing that he needs his humanity back, that he needs his relationships with MJ and Ned, unfortunately, to be returned to him so he can be like a well-balanced superhero again makes more sense than just giving him organic web shooters. Just from a story like kind of perspective.
I know. Whether or not they do see what they might do is kind of a combination of both. But at the end he keeps the organic web shooters.
And you know what's crazy? If you look at spiders, they do not shoot webs out of their hands or their legs.
No, it's out of their asshole.
They shoot them out of their buttholes. So if you give him organic web shooters, he should be shooting it out the other end. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Let's not do that.
I know. I don't want it to. Or actually, maybe he could shoot it out of his pee hole.
Let's see if that's worse.
At least then he could direct it.
I'm not going to say you got a point there because you don't. No, it doesn't make it better.
Because it's the first ever dong opened Spider-Man costume, the crotchless spider costume. He's committing an indecent exposure act every time he goes out in public.
But I'm expecting Man Spider.
I'm expecting the other. And I'm going to be dreading it if that's the case. I think it's a terrible idea, and I think that they're going to do it.
Lexi says House of Wax was a cheesy horror movie, an excuse to cast Paris Hilton half-dressed. However, it's getting a sequel. More low-rent horror, but seeing how this movie didn't even make money in the box office back in 2005, why do it?
Is Paris Hilton in it again? I mean,
no idea. I'm assuming no. I think she's like not a personality like that anymore.
She just did like a fucking record though.
She did?
She's like yeah, I remember seeing it advertised on Twitter like a lot.
Did you like it?
I don't know. I never listened to it.
You seem
probably
like a
Paris
I don't kind of guy.
No, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, I would have fucked her 20 years ago, but no, not really a fan. That being said, I don't understand why this is being. I mean, look, there's only a limited number of horror properties that have that have a name that people will remember, but not enough where you have an expectation to live up to. And House of Wax, kind of one of those. I'm betting they're going to do kind of like the requel, where it's a reboot sequel. And look, based on the performance from the first one, the only possibility is up.
Yeah, probably. Low budget horror movies have a track record of being successful, in theaters. House of Wax doesn't, or at least the reboot, because I think there was another original.
There was
back in the
one
day.
in like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah. But so I'm not surprised. It's got a name. Somebody got the rights to it. Let's give House of Wax another shot. Even if you lose money, it's not like a big blockbuster or anything.
Yeah, exactly. It costs like $20 million to make a fucking horror movie. Fine.
Unless it's found footage, they can get it down substantially.
Yeah, then you're looking at like $250,000.
Yeah. Word is Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were spotted doing reshoots for Doomsday. Are these two just going to do a cameo or a bigger role in the movie?
I think they're going to have I'd say probably about 15, 20 minutes of screen time each. I
bet they were originally planning to do a cameo, and maybe Feige and company are getting a little cold feet, maybe wondering if this is going to work out. Like, let's get more Wolverine and Deadpool. It did so big last time. We know that's a draw.
Yeah,
throw a little bit
that's what I
extra in
mean.
there.
I feel like they were
what I would call it.
They were initially just going to do a cameo, but I think their role has grown, not substantially to the point where it's like integral.
No, get a little side quest.
Plot. Yeah, you're going to have them as like a side quest and pop in here and there, and probably in some big group shots.
You didn't like Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Or no, you did.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. Thought it was better than 2, but not as good as 1.
Yeah. Gremlins 3 is said to be inspired by Jurassic Park 3. Do we want a darker tone Gremlins, especially after Part 2?
No. I don't want them to revisit Gremlins. We have 2 very good Gremlins movies. Leave it the fuck alone.
That's a crazy statement. Gremlins 2 sucked. We have a
I like
great
Gremlins
Gremlins
2.
movie. Oh, that was
I like
bad, but
Gremlins too.
Jurassic Park 3 is the one where the chaos guy Jeff Goldblum comes back with his daughter to go find Julianne Moore on the island, but then he brings Vince Vaughn with him as a photographer or something, right?
Yeah.
How do you make that into a Gremlin movie?
But what's his name? Sam Neill and the other chick are back in that one too.
Oh wait, I was describing 2. You're right. Those 2 show up in 3.
Yeah. And remember, they were there because
that's the one where they do a Godzilla movie because they bring a T-Rex to New York.
In 2, yeah.
That was 2. I'm confused. I have not seen the Jurassic Park movies in a long time, except for the first one, which is amazing.
It was the one where they have to go back to the island and we find out that there was a second island.
Yeah.
And that was the one where it starts off with a little girl getting fucking mauled by little tiny dinosaurs. Like some little rich girl. Yeah.
That's the opening of the actual Jurassic Park book. Is like a rich family is on a beach, and I think one of their kids gets eaten.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened here.
It's a good book.
Yeah, it really is.
Far more disturbing than the Spielberg movie, which is really good.
Yeah. Other than the fact that there was like a 50-page soliloquy by Jeff Goldblum's character in the middle of it.
Well, Jeff Goldblum's character also dies in the book.
I know.
Yeah. So you don't want a Gremlins 3?
I don't want a Gremlins 3. I'm perfectly fine with the 2 that I have.
I would like a good Gremlins sequel, so I'm not opposed to it, and I certainly wouldn't mind seeing a much more mature, even more beautiful, what's her face, Phoebe Cates in there as well. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure Phoebe Cates got old.
Yeah, but she's like one of those old ladies that gets old like really gracefully. You can tell.
You know what? Actually, I just looked up some pictures of her. She doesn't look bad for her age.
She probably looks great for her age, like a Sophia Loren. She had it all the way to the end.
She is 63.
Mm-hmm. You think she comes back for Gremlins? She's got to, right?
No.
If Brendan Fraser can come back to fucking the stupid Mummy movie with Rachel Weisz and her dumb brother character, we can get some Phoebe Cates in a Gremlins movie.
I understand, but it's not going to happen.
Then how do you do a Gremlins movie without that Zach Galligan guy?
I think he's... Oh, you know what? It's going to be the Chinese kid from the store.
The one that sold him when he wasn't supposed to?
Yes.
I thought at the second when the store was destroyed, and that's how the Gizmo ended up in the building with all the science experiments.
I think
because they were building like a super mall or something.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that little kid grows up and now he's got all the mogwai.
Maybe get Andrew Koji for that part. I'd be down for it. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Although he's, I think he's Japanese and the kid should be Chinese, but we can get over that.
Correct. Hey, it's Hollywood. Asia is Asia.
I don't know. I like Gremlins 3. I like the idea of it because Gremlins 2 was a catastrophe, in my opinion. It was too goofy, too stupid. Fruity Gremlin. There was Electric Gremlin. There was Smart. Wait, no, those were Smart Gremlin. There was a Bat
Slutty Gremlin.
There was a Slutty Gremlin that was sexually assaulting men. Yeah. It got weird.
It got very weird, but I still love it.
Although you do get to see Gizmo as Rambo, right? Doesn't he turn a paper clip into a compound bow or something?
Uh-huh. And fucking Gizmo
cool.
is super creative.
Because they would always show him in his cage. He would be watching movies. So, he's seen Rambo and knew how to, create some type of incendiary device on an arrow.
Uh-huh. And, he's used to the hero prep montage.
We could use more montages in movies, dude.
We could.
All right, you ready for some comic books and X-Men talk?
Sure.
First, he wants to talk about the good. Venom 256. We did it, guys. Paul is dead. The issue wasn't terrible, and at least something happens after 6 of 9 issue story. How long until Carnage bonds with Paul? We know he isn't staying dead. So he believes the exact same thing you think.
Yeah. Paul becomes Carnage. I think dead. Issue 9.
They checked his pulse.
I think issue 9. I think that's going to be like the epilogue.
That would be a real middle finger to the fans.
Yes, it would.
But there is the rumor that Paul is in the Spider-Man Brand New Day movie.
Yeah, that I don't know. I don't care about. If he is, he is. If he's not, he's not. Because you know why?
It doesn't. That's not a real MJ. It doesn't matter.
He can fuck Zendaya all day long. It's not Mary Jane.
Yeah, it's not the real Mary Jane. So there's less.
Give a shit.
Yeah, go for it. I hope that
nobody cares. I hope that he fucks Zendaya from now until the heat death of the universe. That way Peter could actually go and find Mary Jane.
Yeah. I think it's Michelle Jones is the name of the character.
Yeah, it's Michelle Jones, which was, I believe, the name of Peter's roommate, who was always bitching about him not during One More Day or the Brand New Day era.
Remember when Boomerang was his roommate?
During the Nick Spencer run.
That was Nick Spencer. It was really annoying. He kept coming out in his underwear and shit.
Yeah.
Worst part about Nick Spencer's run, or at least one of the worst parts.
Yeah, and then it just kind of stopped. But no, I think Michelle Jones was the name of the chick that he was, he responded to like a classified ad that was like roommate wanted. And she fucking hated him.
Makes sense.
But that's who I think Zendaya is.
But yeah, Paul's dead. I thought he was done well. Congratulations to I almost call him Alex. Al Ewing. I think it's the best thing he's written since the first half of his Immortal Hulk run. Just the death part, though. It does, vary a little bit after that. It's not quite as good.
Kind of falls apart after that.
Daredevil #1. I bought a few, sold the blind bags for a decent profit, didn't read it. Wes, I heard hot or not, and you said it's not bad. I just won't read anything from Stephanie after what she did to Phoenix. How do you sell blind bags for a profit, Doc?
Idiots and their money.
But there's 275,000 that were ordered. It doesn't feel like it should be difficult to get your hands on these things.
Shouldn't, but they do the same thing as fucking Pokemon card scalpers. I mean, maybe certain areas people were literally going into the stores, cleaning them out on the shelf.
Yeah, but the Pokemon stuff, they like when the orders are done, if you like, I was reading it on from Rod Lamberti on one of his newsletters. He was saying that they would order like 15 boxes of Pokemon cards and he would receive 3 because they would intentionally not print the amount that was necessary to fill the demand from customers. So immediately they're very, very hot and you could probably flip them. I don't think that Marvel did this. I think they just printed out the exact number that was ordered.
I think you're probably correct, but that doesn't mean that people, if you get somebody with more set money than sense walking into a comic shop.
Well, I don't think he sold it at a comic shop. I think he must have done it on eBay.
No, I know. but you walk into a comic shop, you buy the 10 that are on the shelf. Now there's none on the shelf whenever more people come in a little later. And if it's not on your pull list, so suddenly you have to go to another comic shop or you go to eBay. And if you sell it for $2 more than you bought it for, you made a profit. If you're selling it, if it's $5.99. Yeah, if it's a $5.99 book and you're selling it for $7.99, people go, all right, well, I don't have to go running around looking for another comic shop. Especially if you happen to live in a region that doesn't have dozens of comic shops. That couldn't work in Pittsburgh. But
Really?
if I'm in fucking Mobile, Alabama, where there's one comic shop that's like 30 miles from the city, yeah, I could do that. Just go clean them out, and now everybody in the region has no choice but to either go online or hope that their store gets a reorder.
FOMO is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, and people made the mistake of thinking that there was a chance that a Stephanie Phillips Daredevil #1 might have actually been good. So I mean,
it wasn't bad. It was all right. Like,
that's what I heard. But it was the cardinal sin of being fucking boring and forgettable.
Yeah, I'll give you that. X-Men 28 issue barely has the X-Men and huge logic holes. Why must we shit on Magneto over and over? Just really weak stuff. Magneto was put in his place by Quentin, who he and Tempest want to go out there and get some blood because what's his face got shot. No, the Glob Herman got shot. And Magneto's like, they're trying to bait us out there. They want a confrontation. We're not ready for this. And Quentin's like, sit the fuck down, old man. You're not even a mutant anymore. If you could stand up, you wouldn't be acting like that. And basically tells him off, and they take off to go kill some people.
It just sounds really dumb.
It was not as good as the previous issue, which you and I had reviewed. Even the Neko Diaz art wasn't as good as the previous issue.
Yeah.
There was a panel, and it wasn't like magic was too far away. Like, she wasn't enormous, but her face is there. It's just got like 2 dots for an eye. For her eyes,
that's what I heard.
Like, there's no expression on the face. It was weird.
There's not even a face on the face.
No, it was just like a "don't worry, be happy" face.
But, crash test dummy.
Yes,
she's a crash test dummy.
That's exactly what she looked like, but with Magic's head thing on in her outfit.
Yeah.
But X-Men 28, bit of a letdown. Overall, I didn't think there was very much terrible this week, to be completely honest, Doc. But it was like just a slew of mids. And it wasn't just Marvel. It was DC, indie comic books, just a bunch of stuff that was not terrible, but not good either. So it was not a banner week, in my opinion. He says, Bizarro. What's up?
I was just going to say, I'm not surprised.
Well, things have been getting better. I was a little bit surprised. Either you expect more things just to be bad, but they weren't. They were just kind of there. Bizarro Year None. If this was not a Bizarro comic and just a Jimmy Olsen comic, I like it more. I'm not buying issue 2, and the art looks really disgusting for this type of book. Belongs in an indie book.
I don't know. I didn't know that this book existed.
It's Kevin Smith, and I'm forgetting the name of the artist, but he's got a little bit of a Frank Quitely vibe to him, but like not as refined, if that makes sense.
Is it not Raphael Grandpa?
No, it's nobody you've heard of.
Okay.
I'll find it right now because I'm feeling silly for forgetting the guy's name. It was Nick Pitara.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I thought the art itself for like a Bizarro book was perfectly fine. But Brandon is right. This is not a Bizarro book. It's a Jimmy Olsen, Perry White book with some Bizarro in it. There's a part at the beginning where Jimmy wants a job, but Perry doesn't want to hire him when there's some weird stuff going on with like an enormous nutcracker that's got his bayonet through the like window of the Daily Planet because the toy maker's done something. And they're just kind of acting like it's normal, as it would be in Metropolis. And there's like a really good back and forth that's going with White and the rest of the Daily Planet staff. And then with Jimmy Olsen in there. And it's pretty good, but then it just happens for 12 pages straight and doesn't stop. It's like I can only read so much quippy dialogue.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Sounds really.
It was really fun for a minute, but then it kept going, and then eventually Bizarro gets there. But when they get to Bizarro World, it's not completely backwards yet. But they do worship like the Daily Planet. Like it's like the Bible or something, because this like duplicator ray shot the Daily Planet. They thought it disappeared, but really it created Bizarro World. And that's like the thing. It's like their founding like canon documents. Yeah. So it's like worshipped or something.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know that we need a Bizarro year one story, origin story. There's enough Bizarro out there, and we certainly have a perfectly great origin that's already been established. And I won't be coming back for issue 2 either, but
and honestly, what they could have done was establish that like Bizarro World is actually like the foundational world of like the dark multiverse.
Don't think that's what they're going for.
I know they could have done that. That would have been moderately intriguing.
Then Batman 8. So much talking. Coffee with Alan Scott. The last I knew was picking up guys at the dock. This just felt like a Tom King issue with the pacing, new plot line starting, old ones ignored. Really mid stuff. I don't know if I was quite as down on Batman as Brandon here, but it definitely was mid. There's 3 different storylines, and they're not really coalescing into one thing that feels good. You get the big Alan Scott Batman sit down. Batman needs to talk to Alan Scott because what was it? Because Vandal Savage. Alan Scott was the first person to ever encounter him, and he needed some tips on that. Then you have the stupid Mayor Ivy sit down with Police Commissioner Vandal Savage about what Vandal Savage wants to do with the city and the police force, and he needs her to sign over all these powers to him so he can take down Batman because Batman's bad. Eventually she does that. And then there's like an old retired reporter and this kid that has video evidence of Vandal Savage planting evidence on Batman or something that nobody will listen to, and them talking about, the ways of the world. It's really all over the place, especially considering the last issue was a Joker issue, and he like had this big ominous somebody's trying to kill you, and then he points out and he knows Batman's identity is Bruce Wayne, saying that they want to kill Bruce Wayne, not Batman. And then before that, we had the Minotaur introduced. We had this like gang of ninjas that were trying to kill people, and none of that is in this book whatsoever. And I don't think Mayor Ivy is a good idea at all. She's literally a serial killer.
Yeah, I think that is a terrible idea.
Yeah. They like to do it. Like, it makes sense for a Lex Luthor. Or even maybe like a Kingpin, to where he's like the underground boss. You could see him being able to pull the strings and rig an election or something like that. Doesn't really make sense for an eco-terrorist,
Yes, exactly. I don't understand why anybody likes this, or why where like the end goal of it is at this point.
Well, I guess he's just starting out. It had been getting better, the Matt Fraction run, but this was definitely a step back, or a couple steps back, probably. Not a great book. You know what? Actually, Braden's right. This is a bad book. In fact, I don't think it was good. Other than the Alan Scott stuff, which wasn't enough to save it. Yeah. Huge step back. Then he says, aside from the indies, a bad week. It's week like these, I feel Doc's pain and want to ditch most comic books. Doc's getting more books on the pull list, dude.
I'm just getting Battle Beast, G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe Real American Hero, and Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't have
Pull list is
Spider-Man and
filling up,
Wolverine
dude.
anymore. I don't have Spider-Man and Wolverine anymore. Don't have Ultimate Spider-Man anymore. Oh, I am buying The Darkness too. But I haven't. I've only read issues 1 and 2. I have 3 and 4 sitting on my to read list. I just haven't gotten around to them yet.
Very cool. Are you going to get that Terminal book?
Which one's that?
Kirkman, Joe Casey, Art Adams on art.
Oh yeah. I am. I'm going to try that one.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be good. I have high hopes for that one.
Yeah, like I don't give a shit about Void Rivals, but that one I think I am gonna buy.
Now for some X-Men talk. I reread a few graphic novels. Where do you place the following in terms of rank? So we read The Messiah Complex, Second Coming, House of M, and Schism.
Okay, Schism is last. Then House of M is second to last. Second Coming and what was the other one?
Messiah Complex.
Messiah Complex. I gotta go with Messiah. Damn. I'm gonna go with Messiah Complex. I know, because Messiah Complex and Second Coming are both part of the Messiah trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck. Wait, hold on. I need to remember which one had which covers. To remember which one was which name wise. Let's see here.
Why do you hate Schism so much?
Jason Aaron and putting Wolverine and Cyclops on the complete opposite sides of where they should be in that argument.
Yeah, that's what you said was a fundamental breaking point where the whole franchise started breaking apart.
Yeah. I gotta go with Second Coming first, and then Messiah Complex.
Very nice. All right, Doc. Perch has maintained the opinion that Claremont's X-Men was beginning to unravel towards the end of his run, even before Jim Lee arrived, and that despite his greatness as a writer, he had a lot of repetition in characters and was propped up by how good the art was at the time. Do you agree with that assessment?
Oh, no, I don't.
Perch wrong.
I now I understand his argument. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that he had a plan. Claremont had a plan until the editorial started kind of fucking with it. He had been building this Xavier Shadow King mutant war for 150, almost 200 issues at that point. And he was about to launch that when they basically said, oh no, we're just going to end that whole thing. And we're going to do the relaunch. You'll be running this book. John Byrne will be running this book. Jim will be with you over here. Willis will be over with John Byrne over here. On Uncanny. Rob's going to do what he wants to on X-Force. You take a couple of months. Don't worry. We'll wrap this whole thing up. And so that whole big mutant war that had been worked on and set up for 150, 180 issues was just resolved in the Muriel saga with very poorly done, with very mediocre art. Everybody felt wrong. The whole story felt, like incredibly underwhelming for how long they had been building it up. And then it was just over. And now we're doing Second Genesis. So I felt like that is really what killed Chris's love of what he was doing, because like the whole thing was all of the Summers Gray and Xavier side. Well, Xavier was going to be dead, but everybody else is going to be on the basically under all the Summers Gray side was going to be controlled by the Shadow King. And all the rest of them were going to be on under the mentorship of Magneto, because you would have finally, but instead they just immediately reverted Magneto back to being full villain, and nothing, it kind of undermined everything that they had been doing for 160 issues. So I don't think that his run was falling apart. I think it was coming to fruition.
It's coming together.
Yes, it was coming together at that point. He had been building kind of a plan for, 10 years, 15 years at that point. And it was all coming to a head. And then we were going to get a fundamental alteration of the nature of the school and the mutant kind of society, and who was the de facto leader of mutantdom moving forward. And it would have been Magneto.
What did you think of Generation X when it launched? I really enjoyed what was going on for the first 25 issues or so. Which one did you prefer most, and how do you rank Libdell, Hama, and Faber?
Okay, so I skipped it. I left it. Not that I skipped it. I read the first 3 or 4 issues. It did not appeal to me. One is it was a lot of weird mutants, and this is something that goes back to fucking New Mutants. Every time they launch a next generation of mutants, they do it with like weirder mutants.
Instead of cooler powers, they go with grosser powers or weird.
Yes, they go with weirder and like more visually, more Morlock-esque. And they think that that's the thing that has prevented people from really glomming on to these new characters. So I read a couple issues. First of all, I didn't like Chris Bachalo's art back then. Like his art at that point, he really grew in later to superhero art. He was coming off of Sandman and Death, I think. I didn't really like it. I thought Libdell did okay on it, but I didn't like any of the characters. The one character from Phalanx Covenant, where they introduced all the Gen X characters that I really liked, fucking died. Blank. He was the one that I liked the most, and they killed her to end the Phalanx Covenant. So I didn't really care. I didn't like Sync as a character. I definitely still don't like him to this day. He's just boring black rogue. The same reason I didn't really like Prodigy, because he's just Sync but with glasses. Chamber had an interesting visual, but nothing interesting about his character. Emma Monet was I especially hated Emplate as their I guess, arch nemesis. I never liked Monet as a character. I thought she was boring. Skin just looked weird.
All right. So, how would you rank Lobdell, Hama, and Faber as writers in X-Men, though?
Say Lobdell number 1, Hama number 2, Faber number 3.
You know what's weird? If you think about what X-Men is supposed to be portraying, mutants with outward differences that were easily to detect, you would think would be easier to kill off, right? Or they would be killed off first. So you would think as mutantdom evolved, it would become more and more hidden so that people wouldn't realize that you were ever a mutant. So you would think they would become more and more normal looking.
You would think so. But you have a bunch of unfuckable weirdos at Marvel right now.
We heard the joke already.
That this is their self-insert. So the more they do it, the weirder they're gonna get, because they're a bunch of fucking mutant weirdos themselves. Yeah. No, this is it would make sense that, the ones with the goofy hidden power sets, or not the hidden ones, the very outward physical freaks. Yeah. We should be doing a better job of killing them.
Yeah, you think so? You recognize them as a threat more.
I mean, they had a mutant massacre where they killed most of the Morlocks. Guess who the Morlocks were? They're the ones that looked. Well, they looked like, the X-Men fandom on Reddit.
Have a great weekend, guys, and happy Easter. Well, happy Easter to you too, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Next up, we've got Benjamin Wilson, aka the Outrider, the newest member of the family. Hope you are enjoying the Patreon channel memberships. I started reading X-Men from issue 1 about a year ago, and I'm currently about halfway through the Claremont run. After I'm finished, I'm not sure what to read. I haven't heard much about X-Men between the end of the Claremont run and the beginning of Morrison's run. Could you talk about some of the good runs, bad runs, and underrated runs of that time? What would you recommend reading for someone trying to read it through thoroughly in release order?
Honestly, I would keep reading past Chris's run. John Byrne started writing Uncanny, and then after starting at issue 4 of Adjectiveless, he took over that as well, because Chris only did the first 3 issues of Adjectiveless. And he was mostly just scripting from issues 3 to 12. And then Fabian comes on and does a pretty good job. Honestly, I think Uncanny at that time is still a better book for most of that run. So Fabian's on there for a while until, I think issue 40 or something like that. But over on on Uncanny, you end up with Scott Lobdell taking over after John Byrne kind of rage quits, and does a really good job. He introduces, the Phalanx stuff. He introduces, along with, and then he continues writing Uncanny, but also starts writing Generation X. Then you get the Steve Siegel, Joe Kelly era in the, I guess, around. Oh yeah, because Lobdell sticks around through Onslaught, and then I think he leaves shortly after.
But that's the era of the Great Exo.
Yeah, because you end up with Phalanx Covenant. Then you end up with Age of Apocalypse. Then you get to Onslaught, and then you get to they start doing, what was that? Children of the Atom, which is the Sentient Cerebro arc. Then you get to the 12, which now, because then Alan Davis kind of comes on, and he's mostly just kind of a plotter. But the 12 is really well, I mean, it's okay. Terry Kavanaugh's in there for a little bit, and then you end up with Chris coming back at issue 381 and issue 100 of Adjectiveless. Now, he only sticks around for a handful of issues on Uncanny X-Men, and then kind of gets unceremoniously booted back out of it. But he, as well as Adjectiveless X-Men, and he goes over after about 10 issues of each. He then launches Extreme X-Men, which the first few issues are really good. Later in the run, it gets pretty bad, in my opinion. For after issue about 20, it kind of loses a lot of its steam, and he stops having good artists. That's when he ends up with Igor Cordy for like 10, 15 issues. God, that guy's fucking terrible. And that's also around the time that Joe Casey ends up on Uncanny X-Men. Grant Morrison is on New X-Men at issue 114. And Morrison's run is, I know people really, really like it, but all it is a really interesting remix of Chris Claremont's greatest hits. There's not a lot of really new stuff introduced there. And it kind of really starts the process of breaking the X-Men unspoken metaphors. Such as, like, there's no reason why there's only a handful of X-Men. Because they have actual, like, offensive power sets that can be used for a paramilitary organization. And that's kind of the unspoken trade-off between Xavier and all the mutants that are on the X-Men. I basically fund your entire existence, but you go out and fight to the death in my personal, to support my dream in my personal war. Grant kind of broke that by opening the school up to fucking everybody and any mutant. So all the freak mutants started showing, the ones that were only really usable for Morlock existence are now running around this school all the fucking time. And you got casts of dozens. You basically turn the X-Men into just a bunch of teachers that occasionally go on a mission. But even that is fairly rarer. Most of the shit is just school drama.
Yeah, but there's a moment, after Claremont where you got Liddell, Fabian, Joe Casey, where you get those amazing X-overs, and we haven't got anything like that in a long time. Probably even since I've been reading full time. But those were big events. That's where everybody showed up, and it was something that everybody would have been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I have not seen an event as good as the Phalanx Covenant, Age of Apocalypse, or Onslaught in 20 years. I mean, no, probably like 15, because the Messiah trilogy was probably the last time when you had Second Coming, Endangered Species, Messiah Complex, Messiah War, Necrotia, all those things kind of happening. Those were the last times that any of the X-overs were good. What have we had since then? We had X of Swords, and then we've had
how's
a
that
bunch of
Bowser,
Denny.
Ted?
But that wasn't an X-over.
Yeah. Those were
It was
event
two
series
miniseries.
for relaunches.
Yeah. It was one maxi series split into two mini series that
You didn't
were
like the Hunt for
happening
Xavier?
simultaneously. Hunt for Xavier was also in the Casey.
I'm talking about the one that just happened.
Oh,
Where he ended up going into
X-Man
space.
Hunt.
X-Man Hunt.
X-Man.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I liked Hunt for Xavier when they were all trying to find Xavier, and you ended up with the sentient Cerebro.
Yeah.
So that was the last time it was good.
But Ben, you're not heading towards an endpoint. You're heading towards an expansion of the universe that made the X-Men the premier team franchise in all of American comics, which will probably never be eclipsed or even touched again.
Yeah. I mean, that era, even without Chris on the flag on any of the books, you have another 100 issues before it starts going. Well, it starts feeding on itself, and it starts feeding on all the things that happened before and stops growing until Krakoa. And then it gets even more incestuous and self-cannibalistic.
I know Wes said he didn't like the new Magic and Colossus book, but I want to hear Doc's thoughts on it. My bar is really low for modern X stuff, but I've been enjoying them for what they are. How do you guys think they compare to the rest of the X-Men lineup right now? I know Doc said he quit X-Men recently, so if he hasn't read them, I get it. We did read the first Magic and Colossus. We reviewed it.
No, we didn't.
Didn't we?
You might have reviewed it with somebody else. Might have been whenever I had no power.
Are you saying I was cheating on you?
Possibly. I never read that book.
Maybe I reviewed it just with Jim. For some reason, I thought we did it for a Works of the Week. I didn't think Magic and Colossus was bad. I just didn't think it was good. It was just kind of mediocre fare, which in modern X-Men is not the worst thing in the world. It certainly outshines an X-Men United. It certainly outshines an Uncanny X-Men, the Wolverine run going on right now. It's probably up there, but maybe a little bit lower than the Jed McKay X-Men, which has some high moments to it, but has a lot of lows as well. But I only read the first issue because it was just all right. And, with the state of X-Men, there's only so many bad X-Men comic books I can read in a month. And I tend to prioritize the more flagship books.
Yeah. But no, I did not read it. Didn't care to read it. It was probably done by another generic Stephanie. So I have no interest in it.
It's Ashley Allen. She was doing the Magic book before Age
So
of
another
Revelation.
generic Stephanie.
I don't know. She seems like a nice lady. I saw an interview with her.
That doesn't make her that does not make her not a generic Stephanie.
But I love Colossus, though. He's such a cool character.
I liked Colossus up until the Krakoan era. I hated what they did with him, starting with fucking what's his name's X-Force book.
Ben Percy?
Yeah.
Remember when he was throwing Wolverine? Right now, he was throwing people into Wolverine so they would get like diced up like a cheese grater.
Yeah. In the end of
I think that was Jerry Duggan.
Krakoan. Yeah, during the Krakoan, the end of it, whatever the hell that big fight series was, where they needed to just kill all the AIM scientists because just slaughtering people's fine as long as you're the victim.
Yeah. What new genres or types of books would you like to see from the indie scene that aren't being made right now? There's a lot of good stuff coming out, in my opinion, but a large portion of it has a grittier, darker tone than the big two, and are either military or horror. Do you think that indie books have a variety problem right now? And if so, what's missing? I don't know, man. I see a ton of stuff. I do see lots of horror, but I also see lots of fantasy and sci-fi books. Lots of the new like femme fantasy where like the girl's a space pirate and stuff like that. There's probably too much of that stuff, but it feels like there's a good mix. There's even a lot of good superheroes. If you can go read, the Ghost Machine stuff, if you want some superheroes and stuff like that. So I don't know. It feels like there's a good mix right now. There's not really many comedy books, although I did really like that Gromit's book from Rick Remender last year. I thought that was really funny, especially if you're like a Gen Xer like me. Like a lot of that stuff definitely really spoke to me and what they were doing and some of the visuals and stuff. But I think it covers a lot of genres right now. Me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not a lot of stuff out there that I'm really interested in. I'm not really.
Because you almost exclusively like superheroes.
I do. I am an almost exclusively superhero reader. And as a result, I want superhero books. I mean, G.I. Joe is essentially the superhero version of a military book. They're superheroes, whether they actually have a power set or not. And they kind of do. It's just in what type
they all
of
got gimmicks and
use.
Specialties like you would expect with superheroes.
Yeah, exactly. So as a result, G.I. Joe is basically a superhero book.
But it's also a military book.
But it is also a military book. But it's the same way that Captain America, like especially during the Brubaker run, was a superhero book, but it was also a noir espionage book.
Yeah, it's the way Hulk a lot of times is also a horror book.
Yeah. And Wolverine is often a horror book as well. But regardless, so that's I do kind of like that. But at the same time, there's not a lot out there that really hits that. I can go read a bunch of, horror or military or spy books. I like criminal.
Good series.
It is. I wish it was more of a linear book and a little less collection of miniseries. But that's the way it's been since it started.
I would like more Western books out there. There are some Westerns, you had that Texas Blood, which is about to return. You had the Enfield Gang Massacre, which is definitely a Western book. And, sometimes you get it with maybe like a Gunslinger's Farm, which is kind of like a dark superhero combined with the Western stuff. But I wouldn't mind more Western books. But that's probably just me. I know Westerns aren't super popular right now, but I like cowboys and Indians and all that kind of shit a lot.
Well, I mean, Westerns really haven't been popular in America for probably 60 years.
Yellowstone was like the most popular streaming show for like 2 or 3 years.
It wasn't really a Western.
It's a modern Western. Those guys are absolutely cowboys.
I don't think most people would look at that show and call it a Western. But regardless, I mean, I think that's neither here nor there. That being said, I think more Western could work, although there's only so much you could do to make it look interesting on a page. I think that there should be more kind of spy crime comics. Yeah, I think you could do more thriller.
There was a book called
Mystery.
What is the name of it? I'm forgetting it. Simon Kudransky did it. The guy that he did Spawn at one point, but it's about a body that dies on a piece of land that's like contested by Russia and America during the Cold War. So you have like the American like FBI agent have to go out there and investigate it. Then you have the equivalent come from Russia. They're not supposed to talk to each other, but they end up like working to find out who killed this person and how it happened. So that one had some thriller stuff to it, but you don't get tons of that.
Yeah. I have a vague recollection of that title, but I don't remember what it was called.
I can find it right now. I know how to spell Seisman Kudransky. Yeah. What's the name of this book? No Man's Land. That's the name of it.
Okay.
Man. You know what's hard though? I do think comic books are very hard. You could have superheroes that have some comedy in them. You could have horror that's got some comedy in it, but to do a straight comedy book like Grobbits, I think is exceptionally hard. So
yeah, because
Remender for doing it.
Yeah, because it's going to feel more like a comic strip book. And honestly, if I wanted just the comedy, I just go reread the fucking Calvin and Hobbes.
No, but like if you have like a movie like Superbad, I don't think those lines land without the person delivering it, you know, in that exaggerated way that really brings you in and makes you laugh at it because the situation's ridiculous. So you have to attack the comedy in a different manner.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know that anything specifically is missing. You know, there aren't a lot of sports books, which I think is weird because if you look at manga, they've got volleyball manga, they've got like karate manga, they got all kinds of little sports books and stuff like that. We don't have a football comic book, or we don't have like a pro fishing comic book or anything like that. So maybe we're missing sporting books with like teams and people going through like, you know, at your lowest moment, overcoming and becoming the state champ or something.
Yeah. I don't know how much of a draw that is, but hey, there probably
huge
is.
Fucking draw in manga.
I know in Asia. Yeah, I get it. I don't know how much it'll draw in the North American market, mostly because
I'm pretty sure the volleyball manga does well. Like not Chainsaw Man well, but I think it does pretty decent.
Yeah. My point is more along the lines of your target demographic from the American culture looks down upon the medium.
Sports?
Yeah, the sports the sports demographic looks down on comics.
Oh, I don't think you make a sports comic book for sports fans. I think you make a sports comic for comic fans.
And the number of comic fans that I hear bitching about sports ball anytime we start talking, like when we start talking on the show about fucking hockey, baseball, or football, outside of a few people that are actual fans, they get fucking like on the aficionados. They're like, can we drop it with the sports ball conversation?
Unless it's pro wrestling, which we do have those comic books.
Yes. But yeah, so you have folks that actively don't like sports. Most of your comic reader audience, probably because they were bullied and weren't able to be athletic.
I don't know, man. I bet you could do a pretty gritty, dark, like bowling league comic book that would be tons of fun.
Maybe, but so the sports fans look down on the comic medium, and the comic readers don't like sports because they weren't able to play because they were.
I don't think that sports fans look down on comic readers. I think they're just interested in sports. I don't think they even think about that.
Yeah, they don't. They also don't watch, like.
I bet you they watched Iron Man and the Avengers.
No. No, I'm not talking about that. I mean, they don't. They're not the target demographic for like. What is it? That fucking that Ted Lasso Like actual comic fans or sports fans don't watch shows that are fictionalized versions of sports.
I tried to watch Playmakers when it was on ESPN. You remember that one?
Yeah.
When I used to watch like lots of ESPN, I was way more of a sports fan than really anything at the time. And Playmakers sucked. And remember there being a show on HBO that was like a football show that lasted 3 or 4 seasons, but I'm forgetting the name of it because it was in the 80s.
Was that Ballers?
No, Ballers is The Rock.
The Rock as an agent.
Yes, where he was a retired football player.
Yeah.
HBO football show. Let's see if we could. First and 10. Yes. From 84 to 91. So it lasted longer than I thought. But it was a dramatized, adult oriented, professional football show.
That's my point. The sports fans aren't interested in fictionalized sports drama.
That's not true. Everybody loves Field of Dreams. It's a great movie.
It's one movie. I'm talking about series. We're not putting out a one-shot comic book on fucking, baseball and the World Series.
I don't know, dude.
We're talking about making a series about sports. Sports fans have enough drama in the actual sports that they're watching that are real.
Well, you should tell that to ESPN because I had to stop watching the channel because all we would talk about was fucking politics and wouldn't show me sports highlights anymore.
I understand. No, well, there's a reason why that's an entirely different topic, and about the fact that there's a reason why ESPN's viewership is in the fucking tank. But my point is sports fans don't want to watch or read fictionalized sports.
Yeah, I said
drama.
You don't make it for sports fans. You make it for comic fans.
And comic fans think sports ball's dumb.
Maybe you got to go curling. Next up, we got Bravo Dave, a.k.a. Bravo Heart. Hey, Wes and Dok. I hope you two are having a great holiday weekend. We're doing fine. Good here. You doing all right?
I'm good.
Did you do a green bean casserole, dude?
No, not doing green bean casserole.
Fail.
I'm doing just green beans. I don't like casserole.
In fact,
I fucking hate casserole. I fucking hate casserole in general.
I made my grandma's tuna casserole recipe this week. My son gave me a huge hug. He loved it.
No, baked green beans with oil and salt, pepper, and garlic. So they're nice and crispy. Fucking delicious.
Doc is the Marvel X-Men aficionado. The X-Men and the ancillary titles had extensive runs. I was curious, what was your favorite tertiary title? Each of these titles had pretty distinct eras in their histories. What were some of the favorite eras? Also, what was the point of renaming Adjective X-Men to X-Men Legacy?
Well, for a couple reasons. So I'll answer that last one first. Because X-Men became New X-Men, then it went back to X-Men, but they also wanted to launch a new title, a third flagship. And they had tried with Extreme X-Men, and that didn't work. They tried with so they wanted to just name it X-Men again.
They wanted to use the X-Men title.
They wanted to use the X-Men title again for the new relaunch, but they had changed the name of X-Men to New X-Men and then back to X-Men. So there was already kind of a history of changing the title. There was a precedent for changing that title name. So they changed it to X-Men Legacy so they could launch the adjectiveless X-Men book, the one that started with the Blood Wars thing or Bloodline or whatever the fuck it was. The shit with vampires that made Jubilee a vampire. Regardless. So that explains why they renamed it Legacy.
Now I want to hear you tell me why you think Excalibur was the best, ancillary X-Men title.
No, it was Exiles, and it's not even close. Exiles up until issue 90, up until Chris Claremont came on.
Boy.
I am a Blank fan, but also I loved fucking Morph in that book. He was like the even cooler version of the design from Age of Apocalypse that worked really well. You also got that version of Creed Sabretooth back in, it's the same Sabretooth from the Age of Apocalypse, the same way it's the same Blink from Age of Apocalypse. You had Morph, or I'm sorry, I already said Morph. Mimic, who's one of my favorite characters that never gets enough play.
Mimic is just Sentry. Not Sentry Sync.
No, he can first of all, he really can only mimic the original 5 X-Men. And he could do them all at once. But he also can do them indefinitely. And Sync was just knockoff Rogue, where he didn't need to, or he had to be around them periodically to maintain their power set. Mimic didn't. But so Mimic, I always thought was a really good character. He's been around since issue 19 of Uncanny. So he's one of the first villains, and he was one of the first ones that was a villain to ever join the team. And then he left the team again, but regardless, you had at times different variants on Sunfire who looked really cool. The introduction of Nocturne, who was a very interesting character. Kurt Wagner's daughter in a different universe that could possess people. You had this was the book where you could do all the variant characters, but then they'd only be around for a couple issues and then they'd fucking die or go off to non-existence again. So all this shit that are novelty characters like Gwenpool and Miles Morales and Silk and Spider-Gwen and all these other jabroni knockoff characters that you keep around to be introduced. You get the pop of new variant of a character in this book, and then it goes away. That character goes away. You don't have you have a built-in excuse for not keeping them around, or only keeping them around.
Picking Cable in the X-Force, dude.
Well, first of all, X-Force, Cable, and Wolverine, I consider, and X-Factor, I consider as secondary titles, not tertiary titles. The question was about tertiary titles. Excalibur would be a tertiary title. Generation X would be a tertiary title. Alpha Flight would be a tertiary title. Exiles is a tertiary title.
There's some good Alpha Flight out there, dude.
I'm not saying that there's not. There's a lot of really good Alpha Flight out there. I enjoyed both I enjoyed the Byrne run. I enjoyed the Steve Siegel run in the 90s, and I enjoyed the Scott Lobdell version of the early 2000s with Clayton Henry. That being said, I've basically hated every iteration since.
There was like a little Nightcrawler. I think it was supposed to be ongoing, but it becomes a miniseries because I guess it wasn't popular at all. That was like kind of cool from Claremont. But
yeah, the one with Todd Knock.
Yeah. Nightcrawler, just nobody loves the guy but me.
Well, it's not that nobody loves Nightcrawler. I think a lot of people love Nightcrawler. The problem is Nightcrawler works best and works really exclusively as part of an ensemble.
He's the conscience of the team, despite looking like a demon. He has the heart of an angel.
Yes, Yes, and the fact that he needs the interplay between him and other recurring characters is what really makes that's what makes most of the X-Men characters. Cable and Wolverine and Deadpool being exclusively the three that can work on their own because they have their own mythology to them, their own stories, their own that they can bounce that personality off everybody. Um, Cable's got all kinds of future and past mystery from all over the time stream. Wolverine has a mysterious background, and he's done everything, and he's not just the X-Men is the team that he's currently part of because he's been parts of dozens of teams throughout history. A lot of them are military. And then there's all the times that he was a loner. Deadpool, because he's not an actual mutant. And him not fitting in there. So all of those things work really well and they play well with being solo characters. Nightcrawler needs the interplay. He doesn't have his own mythology. He doesn't have a supporting cast. They've never been able to, other than Trish, or not Trish, Amanda, what the fuck's her name? From Excalibur, the Excalibur area. That was really the only kind of, and it was a romantic interest. Otherwise, the only people he ever really plays off of and has any sort of connection to are the X-Men.
Well, and his power set does kind of lend him to being a thief. It's hard to be a hero if you're a straight thief, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a whole lot of offensive capabilities unless he's a pirate.
Well, yeah, you're a pirate, so you're still kind of a villain, or at least morally ambiguous, or you're recon. But who are you reconning for? The rest of the squad. That's why he works well as as part of an ensemble cast. He doesn't work well on his own.
Well, and obviously his power lends itself to saving people in peril because he can bamp there and bamp out. And
yeah,
back in the day, he couldn't really do that. Like, I think it was Storm the first time where he actually went and like saved one of them. He's like, I don't know if I could do that. That's like, I've never bamped that far, and certainly not with somebody else.
Yeah. Back in the day, he had to be able to see where he was going.
Yeah.
And when he would bamf, it took something out of him, especially if he did it lot of it in short order. And the more people he carried with him through it, the more energy it took from him.
He says, I hope you two have
rid of all that.
Yeah. I hope you two have a great Easter in a week. Well, you too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely, man. You too.
Marvel 2099, aka Future Flare. Hey, Wes and Dok. Due to Easter postage, I haven't received my comics this week. But going on what was said during Comics Aficionados, why do writers keep going back to storylines that have been resolved multiple times or never mentioned for decades? Jessica Jones will never escape Purple Man, even though Jean, Emma, and Professor X have helped her overcome her mind control. Carol has been through a lot since the Rogue incident, but it's what is causing the storyline for Dark Past.
There's a simple answer for this. They don't get paid enough to give away their own ideas anymore for a story.
Well, you've also said that if you have an issue with the character, you should go back to the last state of known good. And perhaps the last state of known good with Carol was the Rogue incident.
No, I think that there's plenty after that. Probably the Brian Reed era would have been the last known good pre House of M, and her, becoming the greatest superhero in the world that she always wanted to be. That would be the last known good for her. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, most of the reason why they're just re-exploring old stuff is because Marvel and DC don't pay them enough to do their to come up with new ideas. They're not going to get credit for it. If it gets used in a film, they might get a couple of grand and ignored on the red carpet, assuming they're even allowed to be there.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of weird though. If you read that Dark Past book, because you're sitting there, you're like, okay, we're dealing with the after effects of Rogue, and her memory is still scrambled and fragmented. She hasn't, got everything put back together. But then you're like, she's wearing the Alyssa Wong costume with like the little shoulder pads and stuff, where she was like a majorette or something.
Yeah.
It was like, this has been resolved fully.
Yeah. Decades.
For a long time.
Yeah. So they're literally just going to rehash old shit because they're not paid enough to come up with new shit.
Same thing with Magic and that stupid what's his name in Lobo that was, held her captive.
Start
with a C, I think.
No, B. Belasco.
Yeah. They replay that a lot too. It's like, it feels like Magic's pretty over it. She's like the fucking Queen of Limbo.
Yeah. Belasco and Sim and the whole Dark Child thing is they're just going to keep redoing it over and over and over and over and over. But part of that is because that is literally the only thing interesting about Magic. And I'll be perfectly honest. That character outside of that stuff is fucking boring.
Maybe that's the problem with Carol. With a lot of her Captain Marvel stuff, it's been incredibly boring. People haven't really bought into it. So they're trying to maybe get the character over using a different tool, nostalgia.
There's only one member of the Rasputin family that is even remotely interesting, and it's Peter. Mikhail is boring. Ilyana is boring. The parents are boring. I mean, they're dead, but they're boring.
They were. They died of boredom.
Yeah.
Bored each other to death.
They bored because Ilyana was the only one of their kids left at home, and she bored them to death.
Yeah. There is a lot of rehashing. If you go to the Paul Jenkins Century story, which is a little bit different. Obviously, Paul Jenkins created that character and built most of his legacy. It's just going back and it's him dealing with the Void. And how am I going to keep dealing with the Void, keep him at bay as best as possible, knowing he's going to come out, but making sure that the other Avengers don't see him.
Yeah, it's just more rehashing of already long settled personality quirks.
But when Al Ewing went and rehashed all that Peter David Hulk stuff with his multiple personalities and everything, it was pretty good. So I guess maybe it works sometimes.
Well, he only rehashed part of that. The rest of it, of like the Peter David stuff, because Peter David introduced, only dealt with a little bit of it. The rest of it was, oh God, who did that? Let's see. It was John Byrne and Paul Jenkins. That really introduced a lot of that Hulk stuff.
So you think it's better to go back and find things that were introduced and maybe never fully fleshed out and resolved?
I would say yes, or introduce something completely new.
Yeah.
I don't need to see the 14th iteration of Ileana dealing with the trauma of being, brutalized by Belasco as a child.
I don't need to see the reconciliation of Jason Todd and Bruce Wayne, because Jason Todd blames Bruce for his death and doesn't think Bruce goes far enough in stopping criminals.
Yeah. I don't need to see the 300th iteration of Daredevil getting his secret identity blown open and then somehow convincing the world that he's not Daredevil.
I prefer the Daredevil loses faith, but then realizes his faith was his strength all along.
Yes, exactly.
Feels like he should be pretty firmed up on there that faith is the bedrock of his existence.
Yeah, and that his Christianity and his Catholicism is like central to him. Why is he still like questioning it?
Then he says, if 90% of blind bags are damaged, how is it that the red band issues are okay? Is it because the bags for red band are see-through and the publishers can see damages? Then if that's the case, why are the old blind bag comics okay? Death of Superman, Human Torch, Death, and other Marvel comics were bagged but had no damages.
I don't know who is... So here's the thing. I don't know if they're still using the same process or even the same company to do the blind bags as they are that are doing the or the same machine to do the blind bags that are doing the red band bags.
Because the red band bags are just the poly bags. They have some blacked out parts and you can kind of see through them. Yeah. But if you look at the blind bags, they're a different material. There's like a metallic, at least to the Daredevil, you can see there's a metallic nature to them, which probably needs a different printer, a different like process for sealing them and stuff like that. Yeah. Maybe it's more rough on them.
It very much could be. I feel like the machine that they're using, because from what I saw, at least I haven't seen any of these Daredevil blind bags. I saw whenever they did the Battle Beast ones. They kind of reminded me of like a cellophane.
Mm-hmm. They're different.
Like a baseball card pack. Like the old, I'm thinking back to like the 1990s Upper Deck,
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Cellophane baseball card pack. It's a different material that's sealed a different way.
I'm sending you a picture right now, Doc. This is what they look like. And you'll see the metallic parts at the top and bottom that had to be sealed.
Oh, yeah. These are 100% a different. And additionally, the material type on this lends to shrinkage with heat. Yes, the heat is also what seals it. But you can see rippling in it because
the bottom
it's sealing.
And the top edges.
Yes, because it's pulling in when it shrinks. And as a result, it's putting undue pressure on the spine and the corners.
Probably should just went with colored plastic.
Yeah, if they would have just went with the clear plastic.
Or just black plastic.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like the same material type as what's on the old poly bags. Because even those Death of Superman were just a poly bag. It was just a colored poly bag.
Yep. Those look really cool, by the way, with the red Superman logo.
Oh, yeah. Whereas this definitely looks like a fucking Doritos bag.
Yep. That's exactly what it looks like. Do you think the Doritos Corporation is the reason that they're having these damages? Although I will admit, I have not heard this 90% blind bag damage number associated with Daredevil. I heard it associated with the Ultimate Endgame number 1.
Yes.
But I have not had my ear to the grindstone because I've been trying to get out of here.
Yeah. I think the Frito-Lay Corporation definitely
Is to
has
blame.
is to blame. Yes, but no. The bag looks like it's made out of the same material as a fucking Doritos bag, and it you will generate shrinkage as it's sealing.
Yeah.
Significantly more, and
So
because
it
it
could
is
be a
a higher
machining problem, but it could
tensile,
also be a packaging and distribution problem. The people that are putting them in the bags or the boxes don't know what they're doing, and they're dinging the spines.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But the bags look cool.
I mean, they look fine and all.
They look
But
neat. That he says, hope you both have a great Easter, and hope you get some Easter chocolate in the Philippines, Wes. Easter's over for me, or well, it will be over for me in 47 minutes, and I did not get chocolate. Although I do think there might be a Snickers bar that my wife bought me and put me in the freezer for me. So maybe I will get some Easter chocolate before too long.
I have one Cadbury egg that I bought myself. I love
nice. The weird stuff on the inside is delicious. I don't know what it is though. Probably
it's just some sort of
sugar and glue.
Yeah, it's like they put fucking Elmer's glue and just added a shit ton of sugar, and because it even separates out like glue eventually, and it becomes like there's like sugar water and like the thicker part. I
haven't had a Cadbury cream egg in a very long time.
Well,
when I was with 3 kids, it would be perfect time for it, but they don't really sell that here.
Yeah, I was at the Target the other day when I was buying a G.I. Joe, and as we were checking out, I just happened to see Cadbury eggs, and I'm like, I'm going to buy me one of these.
Are you a Peeps guy?
With the no, my dad is, and my girlfriend is, but she just likes them as is. He likes to let them go stale, so they're like harder. I don't ask me.
Weird.
Like he opens the thing and then lets it sit there for
he wants to be crunchy.
Yeah, he wants his Peep to be a little crunchier.
Like the marshmallows you get in like your cereal?
Not that far.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not dehydrated mushroom or marshmallow. Dehydrated mushroom. God. Dehydrated marshmallow level yet. But if he left it for like another 2 days, it would have become. So he goes at like the 3-day mark instead of the 5-day mark.
Next up, we've got American Texan, aka Mr. Magnificent. Smart LCS owners won't fall for the market manipulation. My owner ordered 0 issues of Nectar because no one requested it on their pull. When I was in the shop on Wednesday, 3 people came in looking for it, and she said she wasn't ordering any for the shelf. All those people walked out empty-handed, and I don't think my LCS owner lost any sleep. But she did lose 3 sales just in the time that you were in the shop.
Yes,
potential sales.
Okay, she lost 3 potential sales, but she also can't apply her usual, algorithm to the like the tail on this, because the only book that was ever going to sell was issue 1.
Well, also the interest wasn't ginned up until after FOC, so nobody put it on their pull list. So you couldn't, you couldn't predict that because every piece of predictive material that you had predicted that it wouldn't sell.
Yeah, because it's a pump and dump scheme.
Potentially. Probably. Yeah. But if your LCS has like a system and they're doing well and it's mitigated their risk to where they're not taking heavy losses on ordering things that they're just not sure of, and this is how they do it, then they should probably keep going with what works, even if you lose out on some sales on a hot book like Nectar, I guess.
Yeah, and then you ask those customers or those purchasers, oh no, I didn't, because nobody
Yeah. Because
nobody
every
requested it
book that
with
you order that wasn't on a pull is a risk.
yes.
Because everything else is pre-sold, in
Yeah.
theory, right?
Yeah, ostensibly they've already agreed
So
to buy it.
if 20 people
So
have
you
something on a pull, I've already sold 20 of these. That also indicates more interest in something that has 5 pulls on it.
yeah, you look at the approximate number of people through your door. And then you look at what percentage of those people have pull lists or are regulars. Like they're buying, even if they don't have a pull list, they're buying every issue of Spider-Man off the shelf. You even if they don't have a pull list, you can kind of consider them a pull list customer. Um, and then you look at what percentage, how many people, and then you just kind of apply how many people out of the people that are pull list customers have that on their list. Oh, 0. Okay. Maybe one copy for the shelf, 0 copies for the shelf. If none of my pull list customers are buying it, I don't have any expectation that any of the randos through the door will buy it.
Yeah, if the equation
and
is X times whatever multiplier is your formula, and X is 0, the answer is always going to be 0.
the answer will always be 0. Now,
Yeah.
you can ask those customers or those people through the door, well, no, we don't have it. I'll see if I can get it for you. Would you like to start a pull list and put it on your pull list? Oh, no. So you're only interested in the pump. You're interested in the hot book
Well,
exclusively.
FOMO customers are just as real customers as your
I understand that, but you can't build your business around FOMO customers
because it's unpredictable. I got you. Yeah, it's way more risky.
Yeah,
Everything's a risk
and
assessment, right?
exactly. And that risk is bad risk. Yes, you lost 3 potential customers, but you also saved yourself from 20 potential shelf warmers, however many copies you would have bought.
Well, and if you take that risk on so many books, yes, you might hit on a Nectar or a Dork, but you
But
also
you're gonna
might whiff on 10 other
burn.
books. And at some point, it doesn't become, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, as a retailer, it is not worth the risk to
It
try
depends on the
playing
retailer.
the
Some
spec.
retailers are specifically going on risk.
No. And I understand that. But for most retailers, 95% of retailers, it is not worthwhile to try to play the spec game because it's so unpredictable. Now, if you're a Midtown, if you're a Graham Crackers
Is it day
Comics,
trading with comic books?
it is. It's day trading for comic books. If you're a Midtown, if you're Graham Crackers, if you're a whomever, yeah, sure, you could play that game all day long.
Because you're mitigating the risk over multiple stores and multiple
Exact-
regions in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And multiple revenue streams because you have a major web presence.
Yeah.
But if you are, I think there was a place that I stopped at in outside Cleveland last year, was like Carol and Andy's comic book shop. That very, very nice people, really nice little shop. Had a pretty good back issue selection, had a lot of new comics. They were right out on a table, like when you first walked in. So I like the way they presented the place. If I'm them, I never play this spec game. I buy the stuff that I know is going to sell. They looked like they had a pretty reasonable percentage of their people through the door that were pull list customers. They seemed to know most of the people that were coming in. I just happened to be stopping on a Wednesday. So, but they seemed to know most of the people coming through the door. Everybody was getting their pull list, and there were books that were on pull list that I was seeing that I didn't see a single person grab off that new release table. So that's every single time that there's nobody being that nobody's buying it. That's another example of playing that game and losing.
He says, Aaron complaining about not getting good gifts is gay. Suck it up, be a man, and say thank you for the itchy sweater or the socks you get for your birthday.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Aaron was complaining about not getting good gifts, even though he's very thoughtful with his gifts. And he's saying, yeah, you're a man. You don't expect good gifts. You know, enjoy your itchy sweater, your lame socks, because that's what you get.
Oh, yeah. No, I exactly. That is what you get. That is the expectation that we should hold as men.
Yes.
If somebody manages to get you the thing that you actually want, feel lucky.
What I found is I can't even hint at what I want. If I want to get the thing that I want, I have to order it myself and say, it's here, honey, this is from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I can say this is exactly what I want. That ain't what's going to happen.
No, that ain't, and it ain't going to be what you get.
No.
I can do the same thing. I have to do the same thing. And yeah, my girlfriend complains, I can never buy you're so hard to buy for her. You just buy, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm an adult man that has
X-Men t-shirts aren't expensive, lady. Get with the program.
Yeah. And I'm an adult man that has my own expendable income. I just buy myself the shit that I want when I want it.
Yeah. But American Texan's right. Aaron was being gay.
But this is the reason why men are perfectly happy with one gift and one gift only. Head.
You might have a point there. Last but not least, Gwen Stacy is Peter's first love and MJ is Peter's true love soulmate. Gwen will always be important to Peter, but MJ compliments him better. At least she used to.
110%. Gwen was Peter getting out of his own way. Because up into, if you reread a lot of those early Spider-Man books, Peter was getting in his own way of having a full social life.
Yeah, he's also kind of a jerk.
He was. And Gwen got him to get out of his own fucking way.
Start acting normal, sir.
Yeah. So in that ways, yes, she's wonderfully useful for him. And I love her as a character as a result. But she had all the personality herself. She was a plot device as a character. She didn't have any personality of her own. She wasn't all that interesting, but she served a plot device role. MJ had her own personality, had her own story, had her own other than like Gwen, everything just happened to her. Like she was like she was a passenger in her own existence. Mary Jane, at least, is a driver. And
drives Peter right to crazy town with the way she's been treating him for like the last 15 years.
And she also used to drive him to horny town like a motherfucker.
Well, she ain't doing that no more. She's awful.
Yeah. But my point is that Mary Jane had her own personality, her own direction, her own everything. She was an active participant in her existence. Gwen was a passenger in hers.
Do you want Peter to be with MJ still?
Yes.
Even after everything she's done to him with Paul?
She didn't do any of that. Editorial did.
Oh, come on. That's part of Canada, dude. What are you calling Zeb Wells a tourist?
Yes.
Oh. What do you can't just forget all that stuff.
I can. You
Probably
can memory hole a lot of shit.
I don't know. I kind of liked it when I thought Peter slammed the door in her face and told her to get the hell out of there. Turned out it was
Then you
Ben
found
that
out it
had
was
the
Ben
stones.
Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Ben doesn't give a fuck because he's already got a lady. Now, if Ben didn't have a lady and MJ was there throwing herself at him, he might have taken.
She wasn't throwing herself. She was just saying, I'm Venom now. He's like, oh, cool. You two deserve each other. Boom. Slam the door right in her face.
Yeah, good point.
Good on you, sir. Way to have some fucking fortitude and self-worth.
Yeah, but my thing is that, all that shit was the editors. You know how I know we can just memory hold this? Because MJ and Peter have a daughter out there somewhere in the world that hasn't been seen or spoken about since 1996.
Kind of like Michael P. Keaton's little sister that just disappeared one day.
Yeah, where she walked up the steps. Same with one of the I think there was one of Family Matters too.
Family Matters, like with the Winslows?
With the Urkel show, yeah.
Well, it was the Winslows, and then Urkel was the neighbor.
Yeah, I know.
I don't remember them having a kid.
I feel like there was another kid. It was that, or
I know there was a couple of Full House. Uncle Joey and the news anchor had a kid at the end. Because the Olsen twins weren't as cute as they used to be.
Yeah. And but no, there was another there was a couple other TV like sitcoms where a character like went up the steps to go study and never appeared again on the series. And then you get like the different versions of what's her name on Roseanne.
Oh, not Darlene, the older sister.
The other sister, the blonde one.
Yeah.
And then both of them were on the show at the same time.
Yeah, where John Goodman was playing the son as an adult that was gone crazy because he had two sisters.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do it for the weekly Q&A, Doc. We got through the gamut of all the questions that we had. I think we did a pretty good job. Had a little bit of fun here.
I think so too. Yep.
I just want to wish you a happy Easter. Enjoy your dinner. Good luck getting it all together. Sounds like you're going to have a full house, and I hope you guys have a good time.
Well, thank you, sir, and I hope you have a safe trip.
Yeah, I'll see you next weekend, brother.
All right, man. Take care.